Hello, Raoul. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for welcoming us here at L'Oréal, or should we say it's a bit like your home. So how long did you work at L'Oréal then? We want to know everything.
34 years. I started in the fine chemical and biotechnology division of L'Oréal. So mainly at first in production and engineering, and I was in charge of EH&S as head of the department. And it was a huge experience, 14 years in that division with high risk, including Seveso rating for the site. But very challenging, but very, very nice experience.
Do you want to turn over what's in front of you? Do you recognize this office?
Yeah, it's Clichy head office. So I was in charge of EH&S for this big site, including also the other campuses. There is always something important each and every day. So we were very vigilant and tried to do our utmost to improve the situation, control the risk, and also have a little bit of fun with the teams. And it was always a great opportunity for animation, including in the headquarters, to build some networking on a topic people were not really used to.
So talking of people, I think we need to show you something. Have a look.
You discovered an important need in your organization. I knew there was a need, but in most other companies, stress was a taboo at that time. But you had the open-mindedness to be willing to throw stress in the bucket.
And he was full of hope and confidence. He trusted the fact that we're getting there.
Raoul is very passionate about safety. It's incredible. You always question your own certitudes and you want to go further and experiment new things, but always with safety in mind.
In fact, I had the pleasure of being on the first ever session of leadership and safety, as it was called at that time, and it was a privilege to be there.
You are one of the persons who have contributed to make safety management as a fundamental value for the group. And I really appreciate your manner to think out of the box.
And I think Raoul had a very good appreciation for the contributions that the literature in behavioral science and cognitive science could make to safety.
The other one? Okay.
What do these testimonials evoke for you?
So first, thank you. But I would say also it's a team spirit and teamwork, because all the people that we could see here were part of the game. And in fact, okay, so I try to contribute, of course, and to create at the very first, so the idea and to make it real. But also it was only possible with such a big team. And when we think about all the people that we could see, so it was a fantastic team player experience.
What would you say would have been your greatest challenge at L'Oréal? Because we've already talked about your career, your extensive career, but what is your greatest challenge?
Greatest challenge? A lot. First, I would say, I think it's important to have in mind, so the year 2005. Because for me, it's something key. And especially because after 14 years in the fine chemical and biotechnology division, I was hired as deputy director for all the plants and distribution centers worldwide. And of course, lots of challenges because we are a leading company, so we want to be leaders in all our métiers. And it was not the case for EH&S. We made lots of improvements, but we had still a lot to do. So my main challenges was to define what to do, because it's always difficult to know the right path and the right objectives. And I had to think a lot about that, but mainly it was around two levels. First, we had to develop our EHS métier and the EHS network and managers. So we build a one-week program to help and also to develop the network. But this was only one part of the game. In fact, another challenge, not so classical, was what can we do about leadership to improve our leadership? And here, the question is sometimes something that we can share, but how to make it happen? And this year, 2005, for me, is key about 3 points. Because the first one is on how to make it happen about leadership. So I was very lucky to participate to one big conference in Geneva on safety. And I was a modest, I would say, co-coordinator of one panel, but the key speaker was Neil Armstrong. You know, first man on the moon. Wow. And so what was nice, because it was very easy to discuss with him. And during a one-to-one discussion, I made him very happy about one anecdote I had. I said, you know, when I was a production manager, I had a person working in shift named Brian Kirshi, and he was always saying, okay, I don't understand why this is not repaired yet. We went onto the moon, and this is very simple and not done. So it's not normal. So this made him laugh. And in fact, he said, yes, it's our big challenge. And we can sum up things in a very simple way. Two things. So first, to reach very important goals as leaders, we have to change ourselves first, not to do the same as we were doing yesterday. We have to change something. Second one, we cannot, even if we are the best in the world, we cannot do it alone. So cooperation is key. So working with teams, we have to select the right teams to develop them, etc. So this was key. And I think this was one of the starting points to build the path. Second point was something very dramatic, and so was a big explosion. So in a refinery in Texas, so in March 2005, with 15 fatalities. But what was also key in our way to develop leadership was the main causes of this drama. And it has been studied a lot by Nancy Leibson at MIT. I was very lucky to discuss with her on that. And the main causes were lack of leadership in the way that they had on site during 6 years before the explosion, 8 plant managers. So you can imagine, a plant of 4,000 people working on site, and and they stay less than 1 year each. So it was short term and cost cutting about maintenance, things like that. So no more expert in process safety. And also the fact that they were thinking they were the best in the way that they were thinking that total incident rate that they were measuring, communicating on, etc., was decreasing. And over a period of 4 years, they had decreased it by 70%. So they were thinking they were the best. And Nancy challenged this and saying, okay, probably, and the result is there, you had not the right way of building your efficiency, managing the people, managing the top management, leaders, and also technical skills, and also the wrong indicators that were looking more as GLI, good looking index, rather than measuring the performance. So this was the second aspect that was key. And the third one was the kind of light in all of this, was the Campbell Award. So I read some articles on that. So in 2005, the Campbell Award, which is a famous award in the US, to to celebrate excellence in terms of safety, was awarded to Johnson & Johnson company. And it was fantastic. Why they got this award? It's mainly because the chairman and the EXCO, the executive committee, was really involved in several fields, and especially, for instance, in compliance, in road safety, in health, in mechanical integrity, lots of things that are covering all the risk. And also they had concrete actions, quarterly meeting with the zone and so on, and they had fantastic results. I've read a lot of articles on the awards and the Campbell Awards after this time. I've never seen such powerful way of governance. So for me, it's still something very great. And of course, I hope that it will be spread all over the world. So these were really the 3 points. And so with that, what can you do? So I try to build something with goals. And okay, my boss, that was a pure player in terms of EHS, very famous US guy. And I presented to him the program on leadership and safety, and he told me, so it's great, but it's very risky in the way, if we launch something that is so innovative, and if it does not work, I'm not really at ease with that brilliant idea. So I want to ask you to make a benchmark. And you know, a benchmark is something usually used by companies. And so we selected a very important consulting company, making a benchmark worldwide. And at the end, they said nothing is existing, except perhaps something, but very far from our objective for a US company. And so even if we fail, we could say, so it's not existing, so it was an attempt, something like that. So this was done, but it was important for my boss and the executive committee member that was in charge of EHS at the time. So when I presented to him the idea and the program, so I was a little bit afraid of his answer, because working on that, for me, it was a 1 week program on leadership and safety. And you have to remember that at that time, for top management in the industrial part, even having 1 hour or 2 hours for an EHS Mancom, it was the maximum that you could have. So maturity was not there, culture was not there, but it was very challenging. But I said, okay, I think we need 1 week. And he told me, if you think it's 1 week, let's do 1 week. I only tell you, it has to be, of course, top level. And the second thing, and perhaps that's something I remember quite well, he told me, and do it at CEDEP. Do it at CEDEP. Why? Because your target are the top managers, and they will recognize immediately that is something for us. It's not a simple safety training. It's something dedicated to leadership. And so doing it at CEDEP will be one part of the game. And that was the start of the story. Other aspects, okay, the idea is validated, but after, we have to find the right partners. And I want to pay tribute to Nathalie Carletto, because within L'Oréal, she was key also as a famous manager for training, brilliant lady, and doing very good things. So she was part of this story from the beginning, and it was so great, because we had such a great discussion on that. And this was from the inside at the beginning. And the second aspect, our CEDEP partner. So the idea at the CEDEP was something that rocketed as soon as we met Sam Abadir, a famous person. And I remember quite well when we had our first meeting, because we're here in Aulnay, but our first meeting with Nathalie, we were waiting for Sam. He was not coming, and we were a little bit afraid with that, because for us, this was a very important meeting to discuss about the content of the program. And at the end, so Sam arrived very late, and he told us, okay, there is a one-way so alongside Aulnay campus, but I took it the wrong way, and there was a police just near me. So the check with the police took time because of that, and because of my Egyptian passport. But at the end, it went well. So he came, and we had a fantastic meeting, and I could say that everything started from that. And so Sam did also a very, very great job, because he had also a great network with other teachers, including in CEDEP, but more than that. And we could find also the right people. And from the beginning, so Théo Campernol and Philippe Delquier that we could meet. I would say that so it was nice also to work with Sam and with Kate from the beginning, and I want to insist and to pay tribute to them on that.
So we've talked about your challenges at L'Oréal. What would you say is your greatest professional achievement?
To be able to make it happen, because even if you have very good ideas, and if it's staying like ideas, it will not bring all the performance that we need. So it was important to do it. And the main achievement is perhaps to have made it happen first session, as Malcolm said, when he just joined the company, October 2008. And it was a challenge within the challenge, because it was so challenging for the purpose of the training program. But at that time, we had worldwide very hard times due to financial crisis. And so the partners, etc., was very difficult to find. But we did it, and we did it also because we asked to Nestlé to participate. And it is what they did. A funny anecdote also on that, they insisted only on one thing to participate. We just need that leadership is in the title of the program. If not, our managers will not come.
Okay, so before we go any further, take a look at these testimonials.
"16 years ago, you came up with a crazy idea for a leadership and safety culture program at CEDEP. And I imagine it must have been pretty tough to sell that idea, to get the buy-in. But you did it, and you created something really special."
They embraced a much more holistic concept, which required the demand. There was a need to drive, and is still today, the need to drive a sense of safety under the skin of an organization. Their ambition to go beyond the classic standard safety program so that it became a success.
We would be where we are today without the energy, the vision, and the determination of Raoul to really make something special jointly to help L'Oréal to achieve their safety targets.
What do these testimonials evoke for you?
It's great, and but once again, so we had also the right partners at CEDEP, because all these testimonies, it's very so I would say nice to get them, and I received them really deeply, and I thank you for that. But once again, it was a teamwork that was so successful. And if you remember, so the ideas developed by Neil Armstrong is cooperation, cooperation, cooperation again, teamwork that make the difference at the very end.
So you told us about how the idea of the safety program came about. How would you describe the collaboration with CEDEP in the creation of the program?
It was really amazing because there was a strong idea, very challenging idea. But facing this idea, we had fantastic people that understood immediately how to make it happen, how to build the different sequences we would need to build this program. And with the right people, once again, Theo, once again, Philippe, and others came after. I have to pay also tribute to one person that was key also at the very beginning, is Jean-Claude Decor, because I would never forget, of course, the first time I met him, because it was on 9/11. And we had, with this specific day, we had initially a meeting on safety. And it was a good start of discussion. And after a while, when I proposed to work on that, he said immediately, yes, you can count on me. It's a fantastic idea. I was in charge of some aspect of world-class manufacturing in my big company before. And I would have been so great to have such an idea in my organization before, because it would have helped us a lot on that. But you can count on me. And he was there. And he was there in such a way that his personal experience, but the fact that it could also deliver a very high performance after a drama, so you can recover when you trust the people, when you have the right way to discuss with them, to challenge them, to develop them. So it's working, and it's working in a holistic way. Because at the end of his career, he was in charge of corporate performance audit in the company, and you are not doing only quality on Monday, production and productivity on Tuesday, and Wednesday safety, and then environment, etc. You have to play on every part. And that's the main meaning. So to have a holistic approach, to develop the people, to trust them, and also to make things simple. And simple things are key for the success.
If you had to remember just one thing from this program, what would it be?
Work on yourself to develop your leadership, and so that you make it immediately obvious that it's a way that you need to embark the people. Because leadership is to embark people. First of all, you have to embark yourself to know where to go. It's always important, but to work really on that, and then after to go with the people. And also, as we could say, leaders is not only to measure the impact with the followers they have. Real leaders, it's also to develop other leaders. So it's more the leaders that you will develop and that will make the job after. So I hope it is the same. And with that, I like an Indian proverb, if we can say, is you own what you give to the others.
Thank you. Do you have any anecdotes to share around the program?
The first safety contact we had during the first session was with Coltech that came from California. And we needed some technologies, and it was interesting. But so it was a little bit difficult to make the link with all that we wanted. And so since it was the first step in the program, so I was asking me, okay, we have to be very cautious about what will follow. And but it came because we had Theo, we had Philippe, etc. But it was very challenging. It was very hard. So this time. And after, another part is to make, and I think we have to organize that perhaps a little bit more, is to have an EXCO member, so during these sessions. I remember in the frame we had, it was scheduled an exco member at the end of the training, and this is putting the right label on what we are looking for this program. And this is challenging, but I think the performance is multiplied by 10 easily. So I think this is important, but perhaps what I remember, and just right now here, is the nice moment we had. Because when you are in presence, face to face, you had the break, you had the evening, lots of storytelling from anyone. You discuss, you take. You know, it's not like benchmark and you compare yourself. You take something from the others, you give something, you take something, you give something, and that's a result of the whole program in presence. So I would say that this was a fantastic added value to the program.
How do you see the future evolution of the program?
I really think that we need to develop. We are in the early stages of safety culture. If we take big companies, big events are still happening again. So I would say we are not the champions to capitalize using a lesson learned from the past. If we take some examples quickly. So if you take Boeing, Boeing is a great company. So that was famous for many years, but they were facing so huge problem with the crashes of so their Boeing Max, and so it was a real drama, human drama, but the business was not there. So lots of losses everywhere, and that went to the departure of their CEO, and we could say, okay, Boeing was great. What is happening? So I think it's a lesson, a very important lesson, that we have to stick to the fundamentals, to maintain the performance, not to look always about so continuous improvement. So as we used to say, so what is better is perhaps less important than what it is well done. And le mieux est l'ennemi du bien. So I think it's something great. And we have to be very cautious about one thing, is what we are added each year to the global work that the people that are doing. Because we are adding, and we don't know how to decrease other things or to cancel other activities. So it's a balance, and I think we still have a lot to do on that. And trust people again. Perhaps even more on people than on technologies. And when I see also new technologies, we need them, but tools are tools. It's the way we implement it and how we can use for the global aspect.
Are there any words of wisdom, any other things you'd like to share with us?
So what else?
What else?
So since we just had a coffee, so I will go after this coffee to another what else, is perhaps the academic part. Because academic is not only theory, but what I like is to say that a theory without practice is sterile, and the practice without theory is blind. So we have to work on both aspects. And that's why operational things are key, because at the end we have to apply and be performing. But also stepping back, we have to think about the processes, about the way we are doing things. And I was very lucky and I thank L'Oréal and also School of Mine in Paris and the Sophia Antipolis, because I could go to MIT and so meet Nancy Leveson and her team. So that was a fantastic opportunity to think, to learn. And I was very surprised that Nancy, who is a famous really a famous player on worldwide safety for mainly the space and aeronautic fields, but more than that. She was very happy to discuss with me. So I was only Raoul Textoris, I would say a simple guy. And she told me, we have to discuss a little bit more. And at the very end, she told me should write on KPIs. And that's why after this meeting, I wrote, with the help also of School of Mines, 2 articles that were reported in 2 big international conferences, academic conferences, and that were very well received by the companies, perhaps not so much by consultants, because they were saying the contrary for dozens of years, but saying that we have to find the right KPIs and not to sell GLIs. Good looking in that, once again. So it was a fantastic opportunity. And also because after this stay in MIT, I could go to Berkeley, and that was great because I had the contrary with the person I could met in Berkeley that was quite the strong adversary of Nancy for 4 years. But it was interesting to have the 2 points of views. And again, I don't say it's good or it's bad. We have to find the right way with our purposes and so on. But it's very important to discuss with everyone and to try to find the best ideas and the best actions. This is not finished because I want to thank again L'Oréal and School of Mines because I could go to South Korea to visit Korean Advanced Institute of Technology. It was just after Fukushima. And they told me just after, we capitalize this very bad experience, of course, with one thing in the organization in our country. Now, the nuclear department for civil services is not in a basic secretary, it's directly under the prime minister of the country. And so that's a great changes. And if we think about our organization, sometimes it's very important to see where you are located in your organization. Are you located on a layer that your voice is not listened and so on? So this was very interesting. And after, I could go to Tokyo and discussing, especially with a famous also teacher in a university, working for years on safety culture, and discussing again face-to-face in his office. I recommend to do so as often as possible, of course, not in conferences with big consulting companies trying to sell you things, etc., tools and so on, but just discussing with people that are working on things and trying to find the best way. And what was interesting, he just told me that he worked on safety, nuclear culture, but he just told me that he was wrong for years. And this appeared clearly when his son joined a company that was operating such nuclear plants. So, in fact, life is like that. We have to meet people to discuss with them in a very transparent way. And transparency is not so obvious in the companies because for secret reason, confidentiality, because you are exposed on communication with the media and so on. So in fact, transparency is something difficult. But if we discuss with the right people, including, of course, on the shop floor, we will know the temperature of the company, the right temperature on the company, and not on the reporting dashboard that you can find everywhere with lots of green spots. And if everything is green, is it still useful? Or we can ask the question. This was so very interesting to work on that. Something also important that I was looking for is the sense of all of that. And safety culture is something about priority at the very beginning. Then it came to values, which is quite better or seems quite better. But at the very end, I was asking me that is it something holistic? Is it something universal? And I was very surprised to find I would say, very basic for WHO, World Health Organization, depending on United Nations, to find during the conference in Ottawa they had in 1986, their definition of health and good health. It's not a priority, it's not a value, it is a resource for individuals and companies. Because when you are in good health, you can do the job you want, you can do the leisure you want, etc. So it's really a resource, and I like it because it's fantastic for an holistic approach, including personal and professional goals. So, and I think if we are doing this all together, we will improve quite a lot situation and well-being at the same time.
Thank you. I think we've talked about your extensive career at L'Oréal, your greatest achievements and your challenges. But today marks the start of a new chapter in your life. So I'd like to share a photo with you.
Yes, I remember. It's another Raoul Textoris. He is my grandfather. And so I think he is famous and most famous than I. Because in fact, so he was, during the Second War, he was a member of what we call the resistance. So, and he was one of the first one to be resistant, the chief of this part and this network, especially in the southeast of France. And he was arrested and then deported, but he could recover. And after, so he had also a fantastic life, if we can say, but always reminded what is essential. Because when, and it was his case, he was free again the 24th of April 1945. He was in his 45 years, and his weight was 45 kilograms. And when you recover for that, you can say that you immediately you identify the right priorities.
You told me you were in the 5th generation of wine production and wine appreciation. Is this something you got from your grandfather?
Absolutely. And the grandfather of my grandfather was the first one. So it's a long story. I'm very delighted to say so because L'Oréal is a fantastic company, more than 100 years, famous. So for my family also is less famous, of course, but I'm very proud of it. And it's also more than 100 years. And especially I'm very proud of one thing is what we call the cooperative. It's something you put together, so your production with other wine makers. And the father of my grandfather was one of the members that created this cooperative in the southeast of France. So it was April the 15th, 1923. So I was very proud to have another activity after that, more than 100 years after. So, and I will try to make some wines, but not on myself, but using the collective approach. Once again, there is a team spirit and 60 families that are still working and that are very, very good. Huh? Sometimes we can say, okay, you have farmers, etc. They are very specialists of what they are doing. They are passionate and they are doing a very good wine.
Okay, so to finish, we have a few more messages for you on the tablet.
Raoul, you're a great human being. You're a kind man. Lots of fun. I wish you all the very best.
And I hope to visit you sometime down south. I'm from the south myself, as we exchanged before. So very much looking forward to paths crossing again, maybe just around a glass of wine.
And of course, each day, I wish you to take care and safe.
Thank you, Raoul, for all the fun, the joy, and the smile you triggered on my face in all these years since 2006, I think, the GMP. Since then, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your vision, your ability to put your ideas into concrete action, and just being the person that created this fantastic training and had the idea. Thank you very much for being so visionary.
Take with you in your heart and in your head this amazing thing that you've done, not just for CEDEP, or for Sam, or for me, or for the faculty, but for the thousands of leaders around the world that have benefited from an idea that you came up with.
I wish you all the best for this new life.
So I wish you a retirement with a lot of healthy, stressful challenges.
Your insights, contributions, humor, fun, and just being with us is always something close to our heart, and thank you for that, Raoul.
So what else?
How do these messages make you feel?
Very happy, of course, because what is important when developing such program is not to say I am at the center of everything and so on. What is important and what has to be famous is the program itself. But of course, to pay tribute sometimes to people that so worked very hard to make it happen is great. And thank you again. I appreciated a lot this. And especially because it was a lot of work, but a lot of, I would say, success. And that's great to be able to say so. So thank you again for everybody. So the teams at L'Oréal, the management at L'Oréal, everyone at the CEDEP, because it was fantastic, and it is a fantastic organization. And the new institute, and also all our partners that are coming or will come into this program. And I hope there will be numerous to join. Last but not least, I would like also to thank my wife, Sylvie, and my children, so Victoria and Romain, because they were very helpful for me and also very patient. And so now I have to be also very patient with them and try to dedicate all my time to them, and I'm very proud of that. So thank you for them, thank you for everyone.